And good afternoon, everybody. It is today 12 o'clock. That means it is a lunch and learn session with our emerging leaders, both from our cohort and other membership that can review this at a later time. Every week, we will be selecting a topic. Some of them I will be facilitating, and we will have outside guests come in. As we start our program with our cohort, number one in our Leadership Academy, it is really, really important that we start the conversation about having an individual development plan. So as you were either assigned, selected to come into the program, it's obvious that you are on a journey of continuous learning. And as we discussed the other day, is that each one of us is on a different stage or phase of learning itself. Some of you might be in your dream job and you look forward to spending the rest of your career there, where the opportunity is to become a more effective leader to your team. And others are still climbing a proverbial ladder, and that could be either for lateral positions or promotional opportunities. Regardless that or where you are on the career ladder, it is important to have some kind of a guideline or a map that you have designed for yourself called an individual development plan. So that is the topic of discussion for today. I will only be going to three or four slides, if I can get them to go forward. So I provided the full deck to all of you, and I would encourage you to look through it before we have our one-to-one session next week, because obviously there's lots of information and that we can digest a little bit over the weekend and have a deeper discussion on a one-to-one basis to help you establish where you want to go. So the importance of the IDP is really what I want to get across today, to have one, to have a roadmap laid out for yourself, and that really is based on your big dream. And then along that pathway, we have to act small. We have to take certain concrete steps in order to gain the skills, knowledge, and abilities to be eligible for promotion, or to put ourselves in the best position to drive safety and quality and engagement, revenue growth, cost reduction, and transformation. So these are all encompassing pieces of the IDP itself. As a mentor, as a coach, which that's a position I will be taking for the next 15 weeks with the first cohort. But it is important thereafter that you continue to have some sort of a mentor-mentee relationship, not only for you up, in other words, you should be the mentee, but also you putting yourself into a position to become a mentor if you're not already. And part of the learnings today is that what is your responsibility as a mentor? So we'll look at it from both equations a little bit. Again, we're not diving deep, we're just staying at the surface. And then we'll go into a quick discussion for 15 minutes or so around the barriers and pitfalls of a career plan. And all of you have been in healthcare or wherever you are today, on a pathway. And I'm sure that all of you have had twists and turns that if you say, if I had to do it all over again, how would I avoid those? Or what did I learn from that? So that's really the outcome of today's discussion, is to learn from each other on what the pitfalls and barriers are up to this point in time, and how did you overcome them, and what kind of commitments can you make, or are you going to make to yourself and to your team on how to forge forward. It is all about taking control of your own career. We can sit back and wait for others to do things for you, and it's likely not going to happen. We're all very busy, and we tend to be somewhat firefighters, reactive by nature. That's another area of concern and topic that we will address, and how to become more responsive, more thoughtful, more focused in our execution. But it really is important that if you want to go somewhere, if you want to pursue your big dream, it is up to you to take control over those small steps, those small acts, in order to get closer to the end result at the end of the day. So how to set up your IDP is something that we will address in our one-to-one next week, and that will be done over the next couple of weeks. So you'll actually design a roadmap that you can follow to wherever you want to go, and hold yourself accountable to that. Remember that we talked about, if you measure performance, performance improves. So this IDP is going to be one of your performance measures for yourself that you will check into very regularly. So one of the discussion items that I posted on the boards, both on LinkedIn and Facebook pages, by asking the question, is that, how successful is your company that you work for in performing an annual talent review? But more importantly, how successful are they in order to giving the high performers, high potential people, what I call the box 1, 2, and 3, the ways and means to continue to build their career, their skills, knowledge, and abilities. And what we have found, in studies, that probably about 70, 80% of the companies fall short on this. And again, it goes right back to what I said a minute ago. It is therefore so important that you take control of your own career. If you want it, you need to seek it, you need to go find it, you need to be able to grow and measure your growth over a period of time. So again, why is it important? Let me just minimize this so I can see. So an IDP, visual manifestation, a visual representation of your path and the time that you will be spending in 3 categories. One category is learning, which is what you're doing today. 2 is about how much the time you spend with a more senior person in your mentor-mentee relationship. And 3 is about your experimental learning. In other words, on the job. We call this the 70-20-10 approach. Now, again, in our one-to-ones, we'll tease that out to you, what it is that you are looking for in your career path. And then we try to not only put it on paper, but also want to find ways to measure your success over time. As you will see in my daily emails to you, we have to try to get into the habit of doing things daily until they become your new normal. Working on your IDP, individual development plan. Obviously, over the next 15 weeks, you will be doing something on a daily basis to continue to grow as a leader in your skills, knowledge, and abilities. But we don't want it to stop on week number 16, right? So we want to continue that path. And that's what we're trying to grow and cultivate as a mindset on how you can take control over that on a day-to-day basis, how you can measure that. And then, of course, it is even more important, how can you work with your team to do the same? It helps you identify the short-term and long-term goals that you want to work towards, right? It is that if I want to be a CEO of a large hospital and I'm today a supervisor in ambulatory care, I can say and tell people all day long, I want to be a CEO, but what am I going to do? And what steps do I need to take? And one little quick insight to that is that I recommend that people go onto LinkedIn or to any of the job sites, print out 10 CEO positions that are open nationwide, identify what it is that they ask on those job descriptions, and compare it to where you are today. That will give you a really good idea of what skills, knowledge, and abilities you have to gain in order to reach your goals. And of course, there are no guarantees. It is even more important to design milestones. And the reason why milestones are important is we have a little chemical in our brain called dopamine. Dopamine is released when we feel good. When we feel good, we are more engaged, more productive. We are happier in life. So setting milestones that are smart, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely is really important along the way. And again, we'll talk about SMART goals throughout the program itself. And then lastly, it serves as a communication tool between you, really for yourself, but also those the relationships that you will build within your network, your mentor, your coach. It could be the school that you're attending, the degree that you're pursuing. It could be a conversation with your peers. It could be a conversation with your subordinates, right? It is a communication tool. So it's a visual manifestation of what it is that you are promising yourself to do and how you will be holding yourself accountable. So that's really all I'm going to do at this point in time around the IDP, because I think it is more important to have a discussion about your current experiences so we can take that into account and we can learn and share these experiences with each other. And then we'll carry that over into our one-to-one discussions in the weeks to come. So I'd like to open it up with the opening questions that does anybody have a current IDP that you work on? How did you design it and how well are things going? If anybody wants to volunteer, is it the standard operating procedure for your facility, or is this something completely new to you?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Christine. Go ahead.
I've never had an IDP, and it was never suggested to me to make one. So this is my first experience with it.
Okay. Well, I'm sure that you will, and you will like it. It's a very good tool for yourself to see where you are on the roadmap itself. Does anybody on the call have experience with an IDP? And I see one of my my own coach and close friend, Kirk Oborn, joined us on the call today too. Kirk, by all means, jump in from your experiences across many companies on the IDP if you have something. I'm not sure if there's Kirk. He's on. Meredith or Marcel, or Stephanie, yes, you too? Any experience with developing an IDP for yourself?
Not yet. I don't.
Okay. Stephanie,
I haven't either.
Okay. So then let's talk about, so the good thing is that if you don't have it, this is a great opportunity to start with something that is new to you, and I can promise you it will be very, very beneficial. One of the other talent review processes that companies undertake uses a box 9 approach. Is anybody familiar with the box 9 approach? Okay, that's something we'll reserve that for a topic to come, because I think those two are very important together. So a box 9 approach, and you can simply Google it. I'll share a document with you, probably early next week, so you can review it as well. It's essentially speaking that you take your entire team and you put them into a very particular box. And and box 9 is somebody who's likely going to be managed out of the organization. Box 8 is somebody who is on the cusp of non-performance and non-adherence. We'll talk about the behaviors that we often find in that box 8. Box 7 is in people who've been with the company for less than 6 months, so it's too early to tell. On the flip side, you have the box 1, 2, and 3. These are the high performance and high potential folks on your team. And again, that goes, you score them. But what is the likelihood that they are ready for promotion in 1 to 2 years, or 3 to 5 years? And based on that, as a leader, you can develop a pathway with that employee in order to set them up for success. And again, the IDP is really a good process to engage your employee to design a pathway to their next promotion without making any promises, right? Again, it's in the hands of the performer on the end of the day to bring the goods. So some of the pitfalls and barriers that are in place that I have experienced in the companies that I've worked in is that either it's not done or it's not done consistently. In other words, people might follow through on doing some sort of a performance evaluation. And by Joint Commission standard, all of the hospitals, obviously you do a performance evaluation. But what happens with the performance evaluation? So let me ask you the open question is that I know that all of you have annual performance evaluations. What is it that you have done with that performance evaluation, or what have you seen that has not happened with performance evaluations that either fell short, in other words, people who need to have corrective measures done, or people who are high performance who need to be stimulated or recruited or re-recruited to keep engaged in the business itself? Any insight from anybody around a performance evaluation process?
Hi there, it's Meredith. So I know with Northwell, we're expected with every performance review that we have to actually set goals for the upcoming year. And that's part of the assessment. That's part of the annual review. So we have, we set goals with timelines, and then it is reviewed at the following annual meeting. Did we meet those goals? Did we take on something else, other projects or something?
And how well do you think that people are sticking to those goals, or actually look at them more than once a year? So that, because that's one of the pitfalls of a performance evaluation, is that we go to the rigorous process of doing the evaluation, and hopefully it was done very objectively and fairly across all of the employees. We set goals for the next year, but then we either lose track of those. They go into a file, and we're now compliant with Joint Commission standards, but then it stays in the file until 9-10 months from now. We get that email from HR, say, hey, here's your reminder, we're going to be doing performance evaluations, and you have to go in and evaluate your employees and set goals for the next year. Is that your experience? And if it is not, how have you made sure for yourself or for your team that you review the goals and work with your team members on that?
Well, I'm new to supervising, so in keeping track of my team and what they've set and achieved, that I can't answer for right now. This year will be the first time I do reviews. For myself, I mean, being that I'm the one that sets the goals in the first place, I don't have a goal that I haven't achieved as of yet, because it's things that I want to accomplish within the department or things that I want to learn within the department. So it's been fairly easy for myself. It's only 3 and they should be achievable. I know down the road on a professional level, I have other things that are a little bit more difficult to achieve, but that's still my responsibility. But I can't answer on the rest of the team.
Okay, thank you, Meredith. Mr. Ricketts, I see you're very thoughtful. What is your experience like around the performance evaluation or setting goals to accomplish your career targets?
Well, personally, I've had some experience in the IDP in a previous learning session. And my goal then was to be able to be more competent in doing a budget for unit or organization or stuff like that. As we speak, it's an ongoing process whereby I've reached out to the authorities in those fields, and they have assisted me in going through that, and I'm gradually trying to achieve that, but I'm not 100% there yet. So it was like a year short-term goal, really. So we're still within that time frame. On the basis of the performance evaluations, I'm actually new to this process, but I've been had the opportunity to do some evaluations. And it just occurred to me when you mentioned a while ago that once we talked with our associates and we designed these plans and these nice plans, what next? And to be honest with you, I haven't been able to follow up after we have established these goals. So this is what I want to do in another month or 6 months or stuff. And the evaluation period is ended. We haven't had the chance to really follow up to see how they're progressing. And that's what you saw me thinking about. So we need to get back to that, really, not just at the height of when evaluations are due, but a continuum of progress to say what is happening and how are we achieving these goals. And we try to help them as well to facilitate and help them achieve the goals. So what you saw me thinking about was how can I play a greater role in helping them to achieve their goals that was established a few months ago in the evaluation process.
Very, very well said. I think it is, we called it the dust-off syndrome, is it right? We do the performance evaluation on July 1st, and we come back on June 1st the next year, and we dust off the file, and we take a look at it, we say yay or nay, we set some goals, put it on, and we just comply with regulations. So one of the things with an IDP and part of the leadership program is to change our habits and behaviors around this. So we will talk about this, making this part of your visual dashboard item that you hold yourself accountable to, right? If you have 10 employees and you are going to make it a goal to have a conversation with them once every 2 weeks or 4 weeks, you will, on that dashboard, you will have to put a check mark to see if you were compliant to that. Now, the philosophy and the psychology behind it is that if you have a visual check mark, you make it either red, I didn't do it, yellow, I did some of it, or green, I did do it. It gives you a sense of responsibility, and you're more likely to follow through. If it is not visual, if it is not on your calendar, it's likely that you will forget about it because there's always something else to do. And most of the folks working managing and leading in healthcare have rather full plates. So thank you for sharing on that part. Danielle, any comments, any insight from you or Angel, Eliza?
Hi, this is Angel.
Angel.
Our performance appraisals are required every 2 years, but from an HR perspective, we believe that performance reviews is on an ongoing basis. That coaching is so important, and just like that, being on the ground with your employees to see what's happening in real time, so that they see that you're someone that they can rely on and go to, and having that open door policy and things like that. So I'm big on that. But as far as like goals are concerned, we normally do our goals on a quarterly basis, and then that way they're more measurable. I haven't done anything 2 or 3 years out for the like looking at the IDP standard here. So that might be difficult for someone like me personally to think that far out, because I'm more short term,
Yeah.
thinking of the short term stuff. So that would be a pitfall for me.
Okay, so you and I will talk about that, but you should have long term, right? What is it that you ultimately want to do? What does your next promotion look like, or are you very happy in the role that you're in, right? So we will have those one-to-one discussions around that. Can I just ask you, in question and safety here, right? We're in a team. Have you been coached on your performance evaluation? And have you stayed true to coach your employees on the performance evaluation consistently?
Is that to me or to
Yeah,
everyone?
that was to you, Angel. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Say that again.
That's okay.
Have
So
I stayed true
now
to?
you said now you have a process in place on how to do performance evaluation every 2 years, and that the philosophy that it is an ongoing performance evaluation, and there should be coaching from you to your team. Now, how consistent has the coaching been to you, and how consistent have you been to your team, and how do you measure that consistency?
Really, for me, I don't have a large team, and my team, I'm located at Wakefield, but I have a team also at Moses, in a different location. So it's hard to, be a lot of places at once. But for my small team here that we have, it has to be a daily thing, as far as like the coaching and stuff, and the checking in and seeing where everyone is. For the performance appraisal stuff, I think that that's something that we need improvement on.
Okay, and how well have you been coached along the way?
Um,
And again, and the reason why I bring that up, and I don't want to put you, your hum is enough, is that it is really important to, if we say, I want you to be accountable for your IDP, you want to be coached. So you need to make sure that you establish a relationship with your boss. Don't wait for your boss to come to you, because they might be very busy and distracted, and things get lost. You need to carve out time on their calendars to be coached. Right, so there's a responsibility that is not so that lies in the hand of others. You have to take personal responsibility that if you want to stay on track, if you want to make sure that you are meeting your goals and expectations, that you set even some stretch goals, don't wait for others to come to you. You have to secure that time on their calendars. Similarly, in a perfect world, you do this for your team, but again, you would encourage your team members to say, listen, get on my calendar, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, in order to have that conversation about how am I doing today? Where am I on the IDP? Am I meeting goals and expectations? And that is part of engagement, right? The tighter the relationship that you have, the better and deeper understanding you have around clarity of purpose and goals, the higher the performance level. And that goes right back to what I said earlier, is that if you measure performance in a visual way, performance improves. So thank you for sharing that, Angel. All right, we have 4 minutes left. I have time for one more person to share a personal experience or insight around the IDP.
Hi, it's Eliza.
Hi, Lisa.
How are you?
Good, good.
I do not have experience with IDP. I have had performance appraisals being at Wakefield. I don't feel that they were, I guess, followed up previous years or in following years after they were done. So they were just done as they were done, and then following years done again.
You know what we call it, Eliza? We call it opportunity. Right? It is not about, you know, I always say yesterday is a bad check. Tomorrow is not here. So we have to worry about what we do today. All the past experience that we have had are just experiences and insights.
Mhm.
But what we do with those experiences are really the actions that we're going to take. And from those actions, you drive results. So there is no bad answer about what we have done in the past. It is just an opportunity on how can we make corrective steps that we promote that will help you reach your goals. And of course, as a leader, it's your responsibility to help your team reach their goals as well.
Mhm.
All right,
Sorry,
so
Angel.
thank you. We have about two minutes left. If I can ask Kirk, have you seen some surveys returned to you already, or?
Yeah, we've had 7 come in, so we have had some surveys returned to us, and interesting. We'd sure like to have you know, a little bit more data to go on, but yeah, that's great. And Walter, if I can just say one thing too about one of the things that, when you guys are talking about goals, if you think of goals in the same way that you think of New Year's resolutions, that you're going to do them every year, you know, and you're going to set one goal every year or 2 goals, and then you never accomplish them. Nothing ever gets done, because that's how we look at New Year's resolutions. It's a one-time thing. We look at it, we make it in January, and that's it. We're done with it. If you don't follow up, like Walter's been saying, if it's not a continuing follow-up for your personal goals and for your team goals, then they will be like New Year's resolutions and nothing will ever get done. It's got to be something that you can always be looking at. And the visual measurement is a great way to do that. But for your teams, to be able to sit with your teams after the annual review on a monthly basis or more often even, and talk about the goals, that's the way that they'll get accomplished. It's got to be a continual process and something that we always are looking at and have in the forefront.
100% right. I always joke around is that, listen, you know why gyms stay in business? It's the 1,000 people that make that commitment on January 1st. They're going to buy a membership for the whole year. They go twice the first week, once the second week, and by the third week, all the bodybuilders have to place it themselves while you and I pay for it. So that's the change. That's the habits and behaviors that we want to change, right? That's the coaching for success model. That's why we do things once or twice a week. That's why I'm asking you to carve out 30 minutes a day of your schedule to have focused time. So you get into the process of building these habits of doing things consistently until it becomes a new normal. With that said, please make sure, again, the deadline for submitting all of the surveys for yourself, one done by your subordinate, one done by your boss, should be done by Wednesday, and end of day Tuesday, so we can work on it and have a brief discussion on that come Wednesday of next week. Again, accountability here is on you. If you ask your boss to do a subordinate to do it, give them the information, give them the link, and make a phone call or make a connection with them and tell them the importance and why it is important for them to give you an honest assessment. We don't want fluff. We want you to tell them that be open, honest, and don't be afraid of what they have to say, right? It is not about how good you are. It's about looking at where the true opportunities are. We will not share this back with you precisely. So it's done. Obviously your name will be on it so we can see it and we can target our coachings to that. All right, have a wonderful day. Thank you very much. It's a great first start of the week and start of the program. I'm happy to be with you. Always know you can reach out to me, text, email, and I'll try to respond as quickly as possible. I'm proud that I'm available to you at any time, and some of you already have exercised and tested me. So it's all good stuff. Thank you. Have a wonderful day and great weekend. Remember, balance the 4 things that are important: your mental wellness, your spiritual wellness, your physical wellness, and your relationship wellness. And we'll talk again next Wednesday. Thank you, everybody, and have a great day.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Can you please remember to upload the scorecard, please?
Yes, we'll do.
Okay, thanks. Have a good week.
Thank you. Yeah, you too.